не сидел, как сидят другие. Его пытали, его держали в карцере, в бетонной коробке. Его морили голодом. 3 года голода. А он не то что не сдавался, он все время поддерживал нас. Подбадривал, смеялся, шутил, воодушевлял. Ни на долю секунды не засомневался в том, за что он борется и ради чего страдает. Моего мужа было не сломить, и ровно поэтому Путин его и убил. Убив Алексея, Путин убил половину меня, половину моего сердца и половину моей души. Но у меня осталась вторая половина, и она подсказывает мне, что я не имею права...
Not giving up. That is Alexei Navalny's devoted widow, Yulia, who has courageously stepped out in her husband's memory to carry on his mission for the fight for freedom and democracy for all Russians. And in doing so, potentially putting her own life on the line. Hi, my name is Suri Crowe, and you're watching the MeidasTouch Network. This is not the story I intended to tell today. In fact, I was working on something else. But I cannot ignore the sickness that has infected the Republican Party. The behavior of MAGA Republicans in the wake of Alexei Navalny's political assassination at the hands of the brutal dictator Vladimir Putin cannot be ignored, because their complicity with this dictator places the free world in peril. As I report this story, one man, Republican House Speaker MAGA Mike Johnson, is hamstringing the United States' ability to help our allies, holding our democracy and freedoms hostage. Because at the behest of Donald Trump, a weak man who is losing in every way, he refuses to bring a bill to the House floor that would surely pass and would fund the Ukrainians' desperately needed military aid.
Open question of will the United States send Ukraine the aid it needs to hold the line against Russia? The common denominator here, one man, Russian President Vladimir Putin. The dictator who our own disgraced, twice impeached, 4 times indicted ex-president still has yet to condemn for the murder of Alexei Navalny. A short time ago, the Biden White House announced that they will impose major new sanctions to hold Putin and Russia accountable for Navalny's murder. The situation on the ground in Ukraine is deteriorating and deteriorating fast. Over the weekend, Ukraine suffered a blistering defeat with Russian forces capturing the key Ukrainian city of Avdiivka. And now we are getting word about what the dwindling ammunitions are doing to Ukrainian soldiers on the front lines. Here's NBC's own Richard Engel from eastern Ukraine.
I was just talking to soldiers out here in eastern Ukraine a few minutes ago, and they were telling me that the shortages of ammunition are now so extreme that they're counting bullets. They are rationing their artillery rounds. They're rationing their regular ammunition that they put into their rifles.
Well, you might think that kind of stark reporting from the front lines might snap Speaker Johnson out of his sycophantic stupor. So far, there is no sign of that. But make no mistake, the world is watching and it is judging. CNN is reporting that, quote, Speaker Mike Johnson is facing international criticism over his lack of swift action on Ukraine aid.
No, in fact, Mike Johnson gave his caucus a 2-week holiday, told them there's no rush to get back to D.C. and get back to work. Well, he went to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the ring of Donald Trump, all while the world watches in the wake of Navalny's murder, in the wake of Tucker Carlson's cartoonish but terrible propaganda trip to Moscow.
Long speeches probably fall outside of the genre of the interview. That is why I asked you at the beginning, are we going to have a serious talk or a show? You said a serious talk.
Amidst new court filings that state that Alexander Smirnov, the witness that House Republicans were using in a failed attempt to impeach President Biden, is a Russian asset, according to statements that Smirnov gave the FBI. So it should not surprise us remotely that an emboldened Putin is showing the West that he does not give a damn. Spanish authorities found former Russian military pilot Maxim Kuzminov gunned down in Spain just days ago. The Russian had defected to Ukraine in his Mi-8 helicopter last summer. And shortly after, Russian state television broadcast that Kuzminov's days were numbered. And now his corpse joins the pile of bodies that Vladimir Putin piles up against anyone who dares speak against his brutal regime. And this is the guy This is the leader that Donald Trump and his MAGA cult are supporting. James Comer, Jim Jordan, and the MAGA Republicans have been actively spreading Russian disinformation about Hunter and Joe Biden. Speaker Mike Johnson has reportedly accepted campaign donations from a Russian oligarch connected to a convicted Russian spy. It is absolutely disgraceful.
One of the presidents of a big country stood up and said, well, sir, if we don't pay and we're attacked by Russia, will you protect us? I said, you didn't pay? You're delinquent? He said, yes, let's say that happened. No, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want. You got to pay. You got to pay your bills.
So the timing of Navalny's murder right after Trump invited Russia to attack our European allies is, in my opinion, far more than just a coincidence. These are global signals being sent back and forth between the fascist Republicans and the Kremlin. Here's a tweet from Congressman Eric Swalwell. He said, Putin murders Navalny the same week Donald Trump invites Russia to invade Europe and MAGA Mike Johnson blocks aid to Ukraine. This isn't a coincidence. It's the green light Putin has been given. Simon Rosenberg tweeted in the aftermath, quote, Mike Johnson has given Putin the green light. He's keeping the border chaotic and immigrants flowing into the country. He's embarrassed and weakened America on the global stage. For his next trick, he's going to shut the government down and try to crash the American economy.
When there's a crash, I hope it's going to be during this next 12 months.
Are you seeing a pattern here, my dear friends? Trump and the Republicans are actively working to destroy our country. The call is literally and figuratively coming from inside the house. If you get that babysitter reference in the horror movie that went along with it. They don't care about we, the American citizens. They don't care about us. They only want power. We can prevent more of this terror, however, by supporting Ukraine. Because if Putin takes Ukraine, he is not stopping there. He's already signaled he is ready to attack NATO countries. Here's a clip from former U.S. Ambassador to Russia, Michael McFaul.
And it's really not the administration. It's Republican members of Congress. And I want to underscore, I'm a political science professor here at Stanford. I teach about history and democratic breakthroughs and revolution and failed democratic breakthroughs. And what's really clear to me when I study this history is you don't get many chances to be on the right side of history and do the right thing.
Right.
Most of government life is grinding away, incremental stuff, and failure. Right now, Speaker Johnson has the ability to make history and to do the right thing. When they come back from their holiday, if they put the bill on the floor for $60 billion new dollars in aid for Ukraine, that would be a direct response to the assassination of Alexei Navalny. Conversely, sitting on that, blocking it, is a gift to Vladimir Putin.
Allow me, if you would, to read part of a statement from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. He says, there is no crime against humanity and life that Putin's Russia and those serving its insane dictator have not committed. The world has seen Russian troops burn Ukrainian cities and villages to the ground. Everyone in the world has heard about the mass killings that inevitably follow the Russian flag across occupied territories. It is impossible to reconcile with the pain of families torn apart by Putin's war and the deportation of Ukrainian children. We must not forget the millions of Ukrainians who are surviving under Russian occupation, denied even the most basic rights. Yep, that's the Putin way. He starved Navalny, kept him in a teeny tiny cell almost 24/7. He's currently holding a Murdoch-owned Wall Street Journal reporter by the name of Andrew Gershokovich captive, as well as Paul Whelan, who's now going on 4 years as a Putin captive on the grounds of espionage, which we know is made up and false. And just now, U.S. officials have learned that Putin arrested dual Russian-American ballerina Ksenia Karelina. Vladimir Putin is a paranoid psychopath, just like Donald Trump. Here's what Putin did to Navalny's murderers in makeshift memorials after Navalny's death was announced.
Так я отошел.
He's so weak. He's such a weak man that even in death, he is still afraid of Alexei Navalny. It's an emboldened Putin who is collecting on his investment in the fully corrupted Donald Trump, who is increasingly desperate for cash as his trial verdicts stack up to nearly $500 million in damages and still counting. The equally corrupted RNC, which is soon likely to be led or run by Trump's daughter-in-law, Lara Trump, has already funneled millions of dollars to Trump's legal defense. People, this is not normal. This is not how healthy democracies work.
Does it have to work only on his supporters so that they will give him their own money? Or does it also have to work in such a way that, as you say, even foreign money, even obviously corrupting foreign influence funneled as money to the leader personally, has to be made into a political virtue as well?
Yes, it has to be both. And the key here is the Republican Party. That is a linchpin of this. It is a willing accomplice to Trump's, financial corruption, and it was okay with him, hiring his family, Jared Kushner in power, and is not doing anything to stand up for the division between personal and political. Indeed, is embracing this kind of authoritarian leader cult where Trump can do whatever he says and says that Putin can do whatever he says as well. So it can be hard for Americans to understand because it's a completely proprietary vision of power, that everything is for your taking. Everything is yours. There's a kind of megalomania. And that's how you can end up with highly classified government documents in the bathroom of your private residence. Or think it's okay to say that the Chinese gave my businesses millions of dollars for, quote, services. Most people who are Democrats would not say such things, but for Trump, it's a boast. And this is why he admires Xi Jinping and Putin, because they get away with things like that. It's been very open, the corruption.
I want to show you contrasting images of how two American presidents have handled Vladimir Putin. In this first image, you'll see President Obama's body language, and it's clearly communicating command, authority, and control while addressing Putin. You can even see in Putin's facial expressions that he respects the authority and command that Barack Obama is holding. Then we have Donald Trump, who couldn't say enough about how wonderful Putin is and sided with this brutal dictator over all American intelligence agencies.
President Putin, he just said it's not Russia. I will say this, I don't see any reason why it would be. I have great confidence in my intelligence people, but I will tell you that President Putin was extremely strong and powerful in his denial today.
This is why we in the pro-democracy movement cannot give up. We cannot quit. Ignore the reports of people that are exhausted. That is what authoritarians want. That's how they win, by wearing people out. Not on my watch, and hopefully not on yours. Like millions of people around the world, I found myself deeply affected by the death of Alexei Navalny. Just his selflessness, his willingness to sacrifice his being with his family for 3 years and his own life to fight against the weak autocrat in Vladimir Putin, who feared him so. So I will leave you with the words of the heroic, brave Alexei Navalny.
Не молчите, сопротивляйтесь, выходите на улицы. Никто, кроме нас самих, нас не защитит. А нас так много, что если мы захотим чего-то добиться, мы этого добьемся.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Midas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.